Cheers to the vinyl community and YouTube people who are just cruising, doing a little YouTube surfing. All right. So, Acoustic Sounds sent me the replacement for my Herbie Hancock. So, I figured let's open it up. Let's check it out. A few people were like saying the last time I opened that one, maybe I messed it up. I don't know. Calm that down. But anyways, I'm going to try to be more careful this one. So for this, let's see, to be totally more careful, I got my pocket knife here. Let's cut this thing open. Oh, there we go. Oh, get it here. Right here. And right there. Alright, opened her nice and good. Let's see what comes out of this. Alright, we got another one. See if there's any seam splits. What the fuck? Really? Fucking sends me another doozy? I mean, I was totally chill with this. I used my fucking pocket knife to open this shit, and this one comes out all funky. Fucking turtle power. Anyways, this isn't the one, guys. Okay, they sent me a real replacement. I got it off to the side. I was doing some Shinobi work, so I didn't want to accidentally hurt my good one, the Grail Baby. And now my dog's like, what the fuck are you doing with a sword? And I sometimes ask myself that. All right. They sent me a replacement. They sent me a cover and then the first disc, which I was the only one that had a scratch. Literally, you could see the gouge from under the label from the center hole all the way to the beginning of the song. And if you couldn't hear the scratch, I probably wouldn't have fucking been that aggro about it, but you could. So I was like, damn it. So they sent me a nice case with the first album and no seam splits. To be a stickler here, just because I looked at the other ones so much. This one has, and I've seen this on some of the Tone Poets, and I think it's because after they make these, whatever company's doing that, they set them down. I feel like whatever's holding them, because sometimes there's like a little dent on the top, but no bad. I'm not complaining about that. I'm just pointing that out, and I don't really give a shit. But gatefold looks great on the inside. Whack myself in the face here. Nice and clean. The other one had seam splits even in the center on the inside, which that's even really gnarly. But love this album. I was stoked to get it. And if you have issues with anything from Analog Productions or Acoustic Sounds, I'm still trying to figure out which is what. I mean, this says Analog Productions. Okay. From Analog Productions, but then the box says Acoustic Sounds. Fucking Sherlock Holmes that one together for me, guys, please. They were way cool in the customer service. It's kind of funny. I called them, and it was a lady who answered, and she was like, yeah, you're just going to send an email, which I had to do for my Miles Davis, which I'm still waiting on the replacement just for that case, which they said was going to take a while because they had to make all the cases for the first 25,000. They said when they got done, they were going to make the ones that they had to send out to people that got messed up ones. So I'm totally waiting on that one. And this one kind of took a while. This one took a month to get my replacement, and I wasn't in a big hurry because I still have another copy of this album on Music on Vinyl Me Please, or Music on Vinyl, one of those ones. And you could still play the one, even though you could hear that click. You could at least I could still play it. You know what I mean? So I went to go email the email she told me, which emails on the damn paper that comes with if you have any issues, or just call them. She gave me the wrong email. And so I called back, and it was a different person. It was a guy. And he just was like, what's your name? We'll send you a replacement. I was like, I don't need to email you or send you a picture. And it's like, we're good. Just I'll send you the first vinyl and a case. And we got all your... I had to give him the invoice number to prove that I was real. Or it was, I'm not just calling in to send me a record. So I gave him the invoice. he's like, we'll send you a replacement, and I got it yesterday. Super stoked, and it sounds great. So if you, for some reason, I seen somebody's video, and this is an older video. I was cruising on the vinyl community, and they were playing the HQ, the high quality recording album. I can't even think of it right now. The UHQR, yeah, is that it? Anyways, the super expensive one. And this guy had a warped one, and I'm pretty sure if you call them, they'll send you one that's not warped. Or, who knows. But anyways, I wanted to thank you, Analog Productions, for sending me a replacement. I love their stuff. Their customer service is top notch, so if you have any issues, don't hesitate to send an email or call. They'll definitely hook you up with a replacement. Like, I mean, maybe if you start doing it every week, they're going to want to maybe see a picture, but if it's, if you're telling the truth, they know what's up. They're going to help you out. And, man, I played it yesterday, and it sounds really good. I mean, I would recommend getting this. This is badass. It's a double LP. The normal one's not a double LP, but, man. So, you got to flip this one. If you got to flip some albums a little more, because obviously it's a double, but man, you get this nice gatefold. And that was why I was kind of bummed out when it had this seam splits, because I was like, man, not only, I'm mainly stoked because of the music. That's the one thing, but also just having this nice album cover. I mean, that doesn't hurt either, though. And it's pretty cool that this album was recorded in San Francisco, not too far away from where I was, where I grew up, like a couple hours away. But either way, San Francisco. My dad lived there for a while. He was homeless there for a decade, and as I got older, I would go there often to go for concerts, because a lot of the Warfield, a lot of cool, the Fillmore, a lot of good venues in San Francisco. The Great American Music Hall, that's a really cool venue. A lot of big artists play. I got to see Buckethead there, and man, it's kind of a small venue, but it's a small venue, but it's kind of tall, but it really neat spot to see shows at. I hope it's still around. So anyways, yeah, go check out Analog Productions if you don't know about them. They make really killer albums that are a little pricey, but well worth the money. So I was doing talking about how I was born into music. Not that you guys give a shit, but maybe you do. My mom and dad were musicians. I think I've mentioned this probably a handful of times. And when they were doing shows the whole time, my mom was pregnant with me. She had me inside her belly doing shows. And I have 3 pictures of her on stage while she was pregnant with the crazy ginger. So my parents had a recording studio they had built in the garage. The reel-to-reels, like some of my earliest memories. I got my first guitar when I was like 4 or 5. It's a miniature guitar. I'll bring it out in one of the next videos. It's a real electric guitar though, but it's like a miniature one. And I would play that thing. I don't think I'd play anything nice on it, but I would just do a lot of chromatic stuff, which I had no idea that it was even chromatic, but I would just run through every fret, and I thought it was... First, it was just awesome because I had an amplifier and I could just make this loud noise. But for me, I couldn't play it good yet, so that wasn't the fun part. The fun part for me was in my brain. I thought it was strange why the strings would make a different note when you played a different fret. No adult back then could have told me it's because of the vibrations. But my brain was thinking of ideas of like, why is it? And I probably would have came to the conclusion, but I just thought that was magical, that like just by moving your finger and pressing on a different part of the neck, changed the sound so dramatic. And not that, I mean, to me it sounded dramatic, maybe not to other people. So that's pretty much all I did with that guitar, just made nonsense. Then when I was 10, my dad, 10 going on 11, it was right before I turned 11, but my dad came back to live with his sister, and he still had his PBT 60, which he was saving for me, and if I was still gonna be playing guitar. And at this time, I was like, yes, the guitar. I want my full-size guitar. And just by coincidence, my good friend who lived 2 blocks up the road, he had a small guitar also, and he was still playing his small guitar. And I was like, I have a small guitar too. And we were kind of learning riffs together. And then when I got my full-size guitar, we were sharing that until his mom got him his full-size guitar. And he got a West Tone, an orange West Tone guitar with a whammy bar. Anyways, so playing music at a very early age, and then started collecting records at a very early age, because my mom would go record shopping every now and then. My stepdad collected records, so I had a record player when Thriller came out. Remember, it was one of those all in one it wasn't like the suitcase record player, but basically it was like speaker all built into one, like a little kid turntable, but it played full-size LPs. And so I remember like standing on my bed having to put records on my turntable. Then I got a better one, well, not a better one, a different one that just had bigger had speakers actually. And then I got another it was hand-me-down, then I got another hand-me-down, and then I started using a boombox for a while because cassette tapes, and then got a turntable again at 17. Like a Technics, a decent one with where I didn't have the stylus and stuff, so I had to get that put on there. So, anyways, born into all the music drama in a good way though. So and then here's a book my dad wrote when he came back. It's called Homeless in the Head. Really good. He's passed away now, but it's pretty cool. Kind of hard to tell. There's a picture of him getting arrested just for being homeless. And then here's a better picture of him when he was homeless. That's him with his mat. That was like where he when you're homeless, you just camp out wherever you feel like. But yeah, he has his magic wand, which he believed that actually could move stars. And it says July 6, 1990, 1 minute before the arrest. And he was just waiting for a ride to pick him up. But anyways, but luckily he came back. He fully was strong mentally and wasn't all crazy, which that happens to some, and that's truly saddening. A lot of the homeless scene is a lot of mental illness, and my dad, who wasn't mentally ill, found this out in real time. He said it was interesting because it was such a mixture of people who were mentally ill that were homeless, so they didn't stand a chance, even if they had all the means. Then he said you had a lot of teenagers that came from wealthy backgrounds, but the houses were so fucked up that they lived in. They didn't feel safe too. So you had a lot of these teenagers that were homeless. When they had the means, they had a place they could go, but their mom and dad were so psycho, or someone was messing with them, and it just. So you had those, and you had people who just really got the short end of the stick, who in society, and just did not get a fucking break, So it was a combination, and then you had a lot of, and then drug addicts, with a combination of being mentally ill. So my dad was like, when he came back, his biggest thing was be thankful for every day, for every meal, which he was already like that before being homeless, but he's trying to pass that. So I was, don't take things for granted. But he was like, it's a hard one to fix because it's a mixture of so much problems. Doesn't mean we shouldn't try to fix it. We should do everything we can to help people that are. He used to say houseless because he said the streets were his home. And the amazing thing, because my dad wasn't, he started to get a little mentally strange sometimes, but I think for him it was mainly the drugs. It wasn't so much just him, which sometimes that's maybe the rabbit hole that starts it. But he coming back, shit, I forgot where I was going to go with this point, but shit, I can't start and rewind. It might pop back in my head. But he came back and seen everything and seen the people, because he wasn't so fucked up in the head. Oh, he said when he was about being houseless, and so he said in his book, he writes about he felt richer or felt like more free being homeless than he did when he owned a company with 40 employees, because he used to own a janitorial business, and he owned a home. And my mom and dad, before I was in the picture, they got divorced when I was 2 years old. So he said doing all that, he just felt didn't he just like you are a slave to the machine, which sometimes you don't have a choice. You become a parent, you have to do the dance. But my dad really didn't, even though he didn't mind doing the dance, it was like, why? What is this all about? I think, and so he went and explored it. The shitty thing is, um, the drug addiction, and then my poor mom could have probably used a little more help, but she did an amazing job otherwise. But it's one of those things, though. So it's one of those things, as far as my dad got to see the homelessness problem firsthand, because he was homeless, and but he was there by choice. He knew he had a sister that would have welcomed him into her house anytime, and we would have let him come to our house. Even my mom would have let him come back if he would have needed to get off back on his feet. Which they tried to help him. They would get him a car every now and then, and it would last a while. And then who knows what would happen. But yeah, somehow this went from records to being replacements to Born Into Music to homelessness. But just telling you a little bit about myself, so you understand where I'm coming from, and I've always been passionate about music. My first love was seeing a guitar, and it was that PVT-60. I can remember before my dad came back from the streets, he luckily had a friend in San Francisco who hung on to some of his belongings. So like these journals, he kept writing this book, he kept notes. He would just drop his notes off at his friend's house in a box, have these boxes of all his stuff. He wrote a lot of things, actually, so I have a lot of things he did. He wrote a book about time called Time Traveling with Don Stone. But so he kept a couple guitars. I have an acoustic, the one he street performed with, and I'll show that sometime, and then his PVT-60. But I can remember when I was a little kid, him visiting one time, and him having the PVT-60. I opened the case, and I'm pretty sure, I want to say I just like laid on the carpet next to the guitar case because I didn't want to leave inside. Just one of those weird things where I can just remember my first time seeing an electric guitar. That was the one. And so it's awesome that I have it. But it just instantly seeing a guitar in person. And drums almost did the same thing too. Seeing an instrument as a little kid in the room would be like fucking seeing like magic, or fuck magic, like you seen something more than magic. Just it was weird. And so that was my first love, I feel like, because I've never felt like that for anything else. Since then, it's pretty amazing. And I mean, as far as just evoking that first emotion on the appearance of the guitar, I've had some girlfriends that I've been mad over, madly in love over, whatever. But at first view, we had a connection. But nothing like what I felt when I see my guitar. And it's just a totally different thing. So that's just how that goes. Who knows? What is something you just look at besides your partner? A guitar, or something you're just passionate about. That it was like you can remember the first time you seen that. You're like, oh wow, this has an impact on me, or this is gonna change everything. Even though you don't know that in that moment, even if you can feel it, maybe you do know in that moment. Who knows? But yeah, ramble on here. This is only my second cup of coffee, so just imagine me on my third. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go. Stay positive. Play lots of vinyl, and that's why I say stay positive. Everyone's been through some shit, and that's just life. Some have been through more than others, and the interesting thing about that, usually the people that have been through the most, you would never know about it. And that's the amazing thing about life. And some maybe will let some fucking let you have it. Who knows? It just depends on the person, I guess. But my point is, you're not alone in your battle, whatever it is. And so that's why I say stay positive. All right, guys. I'll see you next time. And record's over. Bye.